Hey, looks like somebody lost their volleyball. Saludos a todos, by the way. La Club. Nothing to brag about, man. European style Pilsner, I guess. Comparable to the Golden Pheasant, if you know what I'm talking about. Not bad, not great. Helps me pass the time as I wait for, well, none of your business. Anyway, I wanted to talk about Grove's Eubank. And as you guys know, I don't really like to talk about mismatches unless I feel the public is getting it wrong by and large, or too many people are getting it wrong. And I really like talking about competitive, close, maybe not quite, maybe very much so, 50-50 fights. And this one is both. On paper, I would say Grove should be a slight favorite, but I'd say it's close to a 50-50 fight, maybe a 50-50 fight, even though it really isn't. And it's also a fight that a lot of people are getting wrong. The majority of people, in my humble opinion, of course. Now, I don't know what's going on, if it's maybe a little bit of reverse reasoning going on here. People looking at the odds, buying into the hype, and then looking for reasons to justify the hype, and Eubank Jr. being the favorite. I'm not sure what it is, and I won't say the bookies have gotten it wrong, because contrary to what some of you may think, I do know how odds work. And everything as far as that goes is intentional. But be that as it may, George Groves should be the favorite here. I'm picking him to win, which shouldn't be a secret to those of you who have heard me talking about this fight on BDA. And man, people are, I sit here listening to people's predictions and various podcasts where people are discussing the fight, and you guys are just getting it wrong, man, from top to bottom. Not everybody. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with picking Eubank. I'm not saying that. But a lot of the people that are picking Eubank are building this belief on false premises. And one of these false premises, and a recurring theme, even to a lot of the people that are picking Eubank, is that Eubank is somehow more confident. Now, I'm not going to say he's less confident, because I don't think that's the case. But I don't think people are really breaking it down for what it is. So allow me. Not saying I'm perfect. Not saying I'm always right. I'm not saying that the more confident guy always wins. No, 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 no. But I do want to talk about confidence, because I've been watching both these guys and how they interact in the lead up to this fight. And, excuse me, Um, I believe they're both confident. It's not really imperative to try to guess or point out who's more confident because, hey, as long as you're confident, right? You just got to be confident. It's really a lack of confidence that's a problem, right? So if you are going to compare confidence, it's not really the quantity of confidence that's important, but the quality, in my humble opinion. So let's break down the quality of both fighters, the quality of their confidence, that is. What's what is what does Chris Eubank Jr. have to be so confident about? Like, what has he achieved? You know what I mean? To be so confident. Not much, really, especially in comparison to George Groves. What has he really achieved? Not much. He's never even won a world title, never even contested for a world title. Had a chance to fight Golovkin, but blatantly ducked. He was saying, I'm coming for you, while taking steps back. That's a confident fighter, is it? But maybe it was just that scenario where he wasn't confident, and now that he's fighting a bum, right? George Groves ain't shit. Now he's confident. Is he? Let me tell you about Eubank's confidence. I'm not the first one to notice this, but very much like his dad, the dude is a peacock, right? Now, it's not the best analogy because a peacock doesn't have any teeth or claws to speak of. And Eubank is dangerous, but not unlike a peacock, he puffs himself up to intimidate. You know what I mean? When you look at Chris Eubank Jr., especially his facial expressions, he has a tendency to raise one of his eyebrows, right? He makes that funny, he does something funny with his mouth. He has that well-rehearsed stare, right? Everything about his facial features scream a narcissist looking at himself in the mirror and rehearsing certain things. Those are, I won't say fake necessarily, but they're contrived expressions. His confidence is intentional. Okay? It's not the kind of confidence that you earn. Okay? It's not the kind of confidence that's been really tested. It's intentional confidence. I won't say fake because it's the type of confidence that you yourself create out of thin air. Now I know he's basing it on pedigree, and by that we mean genetics, and he has knocked over a bunch of bums, a lot of people are believing in him. So there's truth to some of his confidence, but it's really created confidence. It's intentional confidence. He's confident because he has to be confident, right? He needs to be confident in order to go into that ring and let his hands go and win some of these fights, most of these fights. He needs confidence, and confidence sells. But, it is created. It is rehearsed in the mirror, and it's a put on, right? Now, calling it fake isn't exactly accurate because if you start acting in a certain manner you're persistent and people respond to it favorably and they interpret that as confidence and they react to it as if you were confident, you're going to feed off of that and you're going to become confident, right? If you want to be confident, right, say with women, you just got to break that barrier, right? As a young, insecure boy, you want to holler at some girls, you want to be confident, well, just go fucking holler at some girls, right? Go be confident. You'll do it once, twice, 3 times, and it'll become you. You're going to become confident. Fake it until you make it, right? That's basically Junior's confidence. It's intentional, it's contrived, it's real. It has, maybe it was fake at first, but it's become him and it's real now. So you got to give him credit. He is confident. I'm not saying he's not confident, but understand the genesis and the source of this confidence. I think it's important to understand that. Because now we switch over to George Groves. And where does his confidence come from? And make no mistake, just because Groves is reserved, maybe a little bit timid, he's a very confident fighter. How can you question George Groves' confidence? Why? Why would you do that? Based on what? Because he got knocked out by Carl Froch? But wasn't it his confidence that got him knocked out? Wasn't it? I mean, he got stopped controversially in the first fight. And then went and fought him again, right? That's not a confident fighter? He suffered a hard knockout. Career ending for the average fighter type of a knockout in the second fight against Froch. Did it end his career? No. Now he did have another setback after that, but he kept on grinding, he kept on fighting, he kept on fighting good opposition, positioned himself in title contention and won a legitimate title. That title was Chudinov's title. No matter how you slice it, drug test, bad decision over Sturm, that was Chudinov's title. That really wasn't a vacant title. On paper it was, but that was a credible title. And look, I didn't give George Groves his due. Having watched it live, I thought it was I called it a quick stoppage, but I went back and I watched it again and I paid closer attention and he broke Chudinov down and he stopped him. It was a good stoppage. A guy that suffers 3 setbacks, one of them career ending for the average fighter, keeps coming back, keeps grinding till he finally gets over that hump. And people are telling me that's not a confident fighter? What kind of crack are you guys smoking, man? Why, just because he's a little timid? Just because he's not brash? He's not braggadocious? Just because he's not fucking obnoxious? He's quietly confident. He's very confident. I don't know if he's more confident than Eubank, but I know it's confidence of the higher quality. George Groves' confidence is of a tried and true, earned kind. He earned his confidence. He tested his confidence. Look, just because he lost some fights, well, he just wasn't good enough. That's the bottom line. But it's not for the lack of trying. What fight did George Groves fight? In what fight did he convince you that he's not a confident fighter? What fight? And the simple fact that he's been coming back from setbacks, trying and finally succeeding, it's insulting to question that man's confidence. Just because he's not a peacock. And what about the peacock's confidence? Look, there's a huge difference in the quality of their confidence because, again, Eubank's confidence is created and it works. Don't get me wrong, it works. But it's, in a sense, it's artificial. Maybe that's not the best word. It's intentional. Right? He makes himself confident. He makes himself appear confident. People respond to that. It perpetuates the cycle. He becomes confident, right? Fake it until you make it. So he is confident, but that's not the kind of confidence that's really been tested, like George Groves, right? His confidence has been put to the hardest possible test as far as boxing is concerned. And he passed. He earned his confidence. He worked for his confidence. He really, truly established his confidence. He deserves his confidence because it's something he earned the hard way, right? He didn't, maybe initially he created it like Eubank. Maybe a lot of fighters do that. They have to do it. But he tested it. And it didn't leave him. I'm not saying it didn't waver here or there, that he had no setbacks as far as his confidence. I'm not saying that. But ultimately, it carried the day and he won the world title. And you know what they say about winning your first title, right? And how much more confident it makes you and how much more of a better fighter because of the confidence that it gives you, it makes you, right? Has Chris Eubank's confidence been tested? Yeah. And it failed him. Why isn't anybody talking about Chris Eubank's lack of confidence against fat, unprepared, out of shape, then domestic level Saunders? Did he look like a confident fighter in that fight? Throwing a bullshit punch, jumping inside and grabbing a hold of Saunders? And only really opening up just a little bit, not much, just a little bit, after the fat gypsy tired late in that fight? Did that look like a confident fighter to you? I mean, it's all fine and good to be able to get off on a punching pad station or a stationary opponent, one and the same. But once you step it up against an opponent that's not cherry-picked like the rest of them, and you start holding, your punch output's not the same, your combinations ain't there, you're not as explosive, it's just not happening for you like that all of a sudden, and you're holding for no reason. You're just jumping in and holding. That's a confident fighter. What happened in that fight, guys? Well, Billy Joe cracked him, and he took all of his confidence away. And it wasn't until later in that fight that Eubank got some of his confidence back. Some of it, just some of it. But you begin to see what I mean by the quality of confidence. It's contrived, it's created, it's intentional, it's not tried and true, tested, really earned through hard work type of confidence. It's created confidence. And because you didn't work very hard to gain it, it's not that hard to take it away. Whereas George Groves has worked his ass off. And even though maybe he questioned himself along the way, ultimately he's come up to the top and he's still there. So he doesn't feel the need to yell and shout and talk over his opponent and not allow his opponent to get a word in. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter what his opponent says. Facts are facts. The truth is the truth. He knows who he is. He knows where he stands. Eubank Jr. telling him that he got knocked out by Froch, that doesn't change anything. He's not telling him something that he doesn't already know. And if anybody knows anything about that, it is George Groves. And he's come back from it. I mean, the fact why he even got knocked out is because he was confident. So he doesn't need the front, okay? He doesn't need to yell and shout and try to grab the microphone and dominate the conversation. He doesn't need to do any of that because he's proved himself in the ring, okay? And he's very confident going into this fight, very confident. And for those of you who were paying attention, he's giving you little glimpses of confidence. He's giving you little cues and clues as to what he's going to do. And he's not giving you a lot. Even when you look at their public workout, Junior went up there for about a half hour, and Groves just showed you a little bit. And he clowned Junior, didn't he? He completely clowned him in his workout and then showed him how it's really done, right? For damn sure, if you know what you're looking at. He showed him how the real one does it. But George Groves doesn't need to prove his confidence, okay? He's a mature fighter now. He doesn't need the front. And to be quite frank, he needs Junior to be very confident. He needs him to. Perhaps overconfident. He doesn't want to crush Junior's confidence or make him question his confidence before they get in that ring. He doesn't want him to do that. That's why he's not dominating the conversation. That's why he's having Junior have his say. He's not talking over him. He's not vehemently denying fact. He acknowledges reality. He is okay with it. He's made peace with reality. And he's allowing, on the surface anyway, to let Junior dominate, just like he allowed him to dominate public workout, right? He gave him all that time, or it really wasn't up to him, but that's what Junior did, right? He got on stage, puffed himself up, and stayed on stage for a while. He loves the limelight. He likes to show off, right? He wears those tight clothes that reveal his physique that he's so very proud of, right? Very insecure if you ask me, but it is what it is. Not saying he's not confident in some ways, but he's allowing Junior to take the spotlight. He's allowing him to shine. He's allowing him to dominate by, amongst other things, not talking a lot. And when he did his public workout, he made it short and sweet. He didn't want to show too much. He didn't want his boxing skill to overshadow Junior's athleticism. But do you understand why George Groves has been reserved and taking it easy and allowing Junior to dominate? Do you understand why? It's because George Groves is a counterpuncher that sets traps, and he allows you to breach his space. He's walking Junior into a trap. And he's going to beat him. How's that for a confident prediction? Take it easy.